rice in a bowl. We can make dessert out of that on this episode of Chop Styx. My beautiful friend Priscilla P. asked me if I take recipe requests, and I said, sure I do. What do you have in mind? And she said rice pudding. And that is great because I do actually have a family rice pudding recipe that I needed to ask for from my parents. We typically have rice pudding for our Christmas smorgasbord, and my father usually makes it, and so I knew they had a recipe, so I asked for it, and that's what I will be making today. So on a 90-degree Memorial Day weekend, I'm gonna make a traditional family Christmas recipe. Let's get started. First, we're gonna start with a cup of cooked rice. Now, my dad has discovered that leftover white rice when you get Chinese food is ideal for this recipe. I went ahead and cooked my own, but just know that the original family recipe ideally calls for leftover white rice from your Chinese food order. Next, you are going to add 3 well-beaten eggs to your cooked rice. 2.5 cups of milk are added. Use at least 1%. I went ahead and used 2% milk. 3/4 of a cup of sugar goes into the mixture. A teaspoon of vanilla. Ooh. Wow, it's doing some fun things there. Cool. At this point is as good a time as any to talk about what I am not putting in here. I'm not putting in raisins. If you like raisins in your rice pudding or think you would like raisins in your rice pudding, you should definitely add raisins to your rice pudding. My dad typically doesn't, as far as I can remember, and I only love raisins in a handful of things, so I am not going to add them. But you do you. I have now poured my mixture into a baking dish, which, yes indeed, is placed into another baking dish with water in that larger baking dish. So your rice pudding dish is in essentially a water bath as you bake it. My mom says this is called a bain-marie. That's what my mom says. And this will go into the oven at 325 for about an hour and a half, or my favorite part of the recipe, until the pudding has a slight jiggle. So let's put it in and see how long it takes for it to have a slight jiggle. Also, I did grease the baking dish in which the pudding is sitting. Let's pop it in the oven. All right, we shall see you again when you are slightly jiggling. All right, it's been about an hour and a half. Getting that slight jiggle. It's what you call a slight jiggle. And then we're going to finish with a little cinnamon. Little cinnamon. And a little nutmeg. And there you have it. Best served warm with maybe some whipped cream, maybe some Cool Whip, and we eat it also with lingonberries. But I'm thinking maybe a nice strawberry preserve would be good. Something like that. And that's it for this episode of Chop Styx.